Good evening, snipers. I hope you all are having an amazing weekend. It was an amazing trip to New York, NASDAQ, during being there when the bell was being rung and, going over those photo ops and things like that. And after that, meeting with a few folk, who are very great in what they do, in their YouTube, let it be their discords or whatever that is. Like, there were some very nice successful traders that I met, and going about their trading journey, it's really nice. And it was a very nice and a fun experience. And the only thing that I had in mind when I was walking out of that VIP dinner was, we should have something like that. We, all of us, let's start talking about our trade journeys, talk about our crazy ideas that we had, what are the opportunities that we missed, where was your pivotal moment in your life that you can pinpoint to, or things like that. Most of them did not have it. Everybody was talking about those million steps that led to them to the stage they are at at the moment, and things like that. Even me, for that matter, I don't have a pivotal moment per se, but it was fun. It was very nice, and it was very open to see a lot of these folk that we watch on TV to be just like us, right? Like, they're all just like us, just like you and me. And it was a very nice surreal experience, I would say. But anyway, I don't want to eat a lot of your time talking about it, and we can talk a lot more when we meet in person in some of our meetups later this year. And with that, with our weekend call, I'll start off with our weekly seasonality as usual, and then we'll talk about our macro calendar, the economic calendar, and then we'll also talk about the earnings calendar, which I think this week is also quite busy week with respect to earnings. And after that, we'll talk about the top three trade ideas for this week. I actually don't have the top three trade ideas for this week, and I really do not have a top trade idea for the week also this week. It's a wait and watch kind of week for me, especially on Monday with that bounce that will come, I think, because of Trump. I've not watched the futures, but I'll have to see that. And um, and after that, we'll also talk about but instead of the top three trade ideas for the week, I'll talk about top three stocks that I really love to pick at these levels, and why I like to pick them up at these levels, and things like that, etc. But without further ado, let's start off with our weekly call. And if you have any other questions, do let me know in chat, and we'll talk more. All right. So, firstly, coming into our Discord, let's see where we are at. Okay. Firstly, with our weekly seasonality, seems like the weekly, we will start off pretty strong, right? Like, I talk about this every week. Our weekly seasonality, it's not about what is going to happen in the future. It's mostly about what has happened in the past, the statistics as to what has happened on this particular day, on the first trading day of March, and how the market has performed in the past. It is not a projection of what is going to happen in the future. So looks like Nasdaq starts off weaker than S&P and Dow, but when I see 62 and 57, something like this, I usually tend to see small caps performing much better nowadays. So keep an eye out for that. So the market was 62% of the time green on the first trading day of March, and that's a good indication there. Any number over 60 and under 40 is something that I take a little bit more seriously. And Monday seems to be a good green day for that matter, and keep an eye out for that. And come Tuesday, Dow S&P start to get a little bit more weaker, but Nasdaq seems to be a little bit more stronger. Wednesday again, S&P. So it's quite a bit of choppy week, but the end of the week looks very weak, and where we actually have our macro data coming out as well with the NFP numbers and things like that. So keep an eye out for this week. Be nimble, trade smaller. Try to don't try to size up yet. I will tell you when to size up. I will tell you when to get aggressive. Right now, if you see 10 to 15 trades I take, one trade I'm getting aggressive, or two trades I get aggressive. That is not when you want to be aggressive. Also, because I'm a full-time trader, because I'm looking at the market every second, every minute, every hour, it's okay for me, right? Like, I understand what the market is doing, but the majority of the people are not like that. That is the reason why I tell you, hey, size down, do what you have to do. What you have to do on a day to day, on a consistent basis, is what defines you as a trader in the long run with respect to what you're trying to do. If you're a full-time trader, it's fine. Like if you're a full-time trader like me, I know quite a few full-time traders like me in the group, and they're doing really well, right? Like last week, where Thursday, when I did not do well, I mean, I was technically traveling, and I was like, I picked up a call on Tesla. I scalped it, did okay, and like I lost on ENPH, which fluid alerted, right? But the same thing happened with other traders too in the launch, who are full time. They did okay, right? Like they didn't blow up their accounts. But if you're not a full time trader, if you are like working full time and trying to do this as a side hustle, you want to size down. This is something that I've been telling you since the start of February, right? Like you size down. When you get a, did I tell you to size down in January? No. Did I tell you to do that in December? No. November? No. Right? October? Yes. Right? Like something like that. Like you have to understand that the market is hectic, your market is in range. You cannot go sizing up your positions. And that's the perspective that you have to develop, right? Like you cannot say, oh, you know what, I'll go work full time for Google to from tomorrow and make a $500,000 a year, and then also make $500,000 like Katie, how he does in the stock market. How is that even possible, right? I don't make $500,000 on working with someone else. I make money in the stock market, so my time is being invested here, so I make money here, and you make money there, and you make side money here. So you can, there's a ratio for your, for the time that you can put in, right? So that is essentially what you have to develop that perspective. And that is why I keep telling you, size down. Don't, the market is hectic, don't try to like go aggressive. Like when it's time to go aggressive, I'll tell you that it's time to go aggressive. I'll tell you, I'll never like warn you saying, oh, you know what, size down, do this, do that. No, I won't tell you that. Like in fact, I'll also tell you like, time to go aggressive, I'll do this, I'll do that, and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Right now it's not that time. You have to play defensive. You have to keep the money that you have made. We had 3 months of amazing run, right? Like November, December, January, we had like crazy good run, and February was the time to scale back. We scaled back, we did good. Last week also we scaled back, we took lesser number of trades. We It's fine, we will have losing trades, but then when you have losing trades, you have to lose less. When you have to be defensive. Defense is as important as being offensive, right? So just keep that in mind. This week also, try thinking that this is a little bit of a hectic week, where Monday starts off strong, Tuesday weak, Wednesday strong again, Thursday, Friday trying to be weak. So just understand that. Try be careful with respect to that. Nasdaq, especially Thursday and Friday, is quite weak. Monday starts off strong on S&P, Tuesday becomes weak, Nasdaq stays strong, Wednesday again S&P stronger than the Nasdaq, and then Thursday, Friday, you see what's going on here. So keep that in mind with respect to seasonality. Next one, coming to the earnings calendar. The first one that I sent you out today was Broadcom. A lot of 170 puts that were sold on Broadcom. I did see like a huge call flow on 180 calls that were bought. These guys are down about 35% on their position. I checked it out, and you can keep an eye out for that. Once 200 breaks, it can move up to like 205, 210 before its earnings. If earnings is great, it can go up to 225 to 230. I don't think 240 will break on AVGO this year. It is extremely hard in my opinion, so keep an eye out for that on AVGO. Next one is Costco, which also comes out on Thursday after close, which is a stock that always goes up. I did see a lot of call spreads on Costco. Again, puts that are being sold at 900 to 930. These are the two zones that it was sold. They were sold off at. So any dip towards 900 on Costco, I'll buy the dip. Like last time also, I told you 900 dip, I'll buy it. We bought it, sold it at 970 or something. So which is great, right? Like 10% move in less than a month or so, which is great. I mean, it was not a big position or anything. It was just like $100,000 position, but then like with shares, right? Like I'm not saying with options, with shares, that's pretty small with respect to shares, right? Like your risk is very minimal with respect to shares. So keep an eye out for that. Any kind of call spreads that are being taken or that are being sold or bought, I'll let you know again going into its earnings. But right now, 1030 call and 11 no 1070 call and 1130 call is the spread that they are going after. So they bought the 1070 call and they sold the 1130 call. So they're basically going after like 60 points on the move. So keep an eye out for that on Costco. The other items that I'm looking for, one is CrowdStrike, which is a very strong name, always goes up kind of on its earnings. But last week was a little off because when Palo Alto Networks was doing really well, CrowdStrike was not doing as well. So keep an eye out for that on CrowdStrike earnings. Um, I'm a little skeptical because there's a lot of call spreads that are being the credit call spreads, like unlike Costco where they were buying debit call spreads, where they were anticipating a move above 1070 and a close under 1130. They are actually selling call spreads here in the sense that they are not expecting a move higher on CrowdStrike. So just be a little bit careful with respect to CrowdStrike when you're trying to play the earnings to the upside. Next one is Zscaler, which again comes out again a cybersecurity name, and for both CrowdStrike and Zscaler, you can probably play Palo Alto Networks to the upside or downside, up to you as a proxy play. But these are the couple of things that I'm also looking for. MDB is another one that I'm looking for. Again, you can play Snow with respect to how MDB works. I did see some call activity on MDB, which is a very light call activity. I mean, given the name, also kind of like trades very light. Um, but a better play here is definitely Snow. You can go after like the I think Snow is at 173, 175. I mean, when we go over the chart, I can definitely let you know. But we can probably go after like 5 points or 10 points out on Snow and play that for MDB earnings to the upside. So keep an eye out for that on MDB as well. If we do well on Monday and Tuesday, we'll probably play some earnings call for MDB with Snow. Next one is the economic calendar. Here we are seeing NFP, which is one of the biggest one this week, and the second biggest one is the ADP. Both of them come pre-market before the market opens. So keep an eye out for that and be a little bit careful with respect to what you're trying to swing. The other one that comes out, but that is big, is Powell's speech that comes out on the midday on Friday. Powell has not been out. It's always been Trump in the news, and he has been speaking the market up and down. Today on Friday, we have Powell also coming out, which is a double yabby gabby, I guess. But they're just moving the market like crazy with what they say. But these are the couple of things. These are 2 to 3 things that I'm looking out for this week. But the main one is definitely the NFP that people will keep an eye out for. On top of that, I'll tell you this also. If you're trying to play SPX or QQQ or something into NFP, the market can open flat because uh, mm, Powell has been saying, um, employment is not the cause for inflation anymore, and there are underlying factors that they are trying to assess and things like that, right? So, um, I think it'll be a nothing burger, but a very sharp fall off on NFP would be a little bit of a concern in the sense that it would force the Fed to cut more. So, would that happen? Possibly because of what Elon Musk is doing. So keep an eye out for that. And this time's NFP, I think, is has a little bit more effect than the previous ones where we did not, where they were like completely nothing burger. But uh, this times might be a little bit more intense with respect to what we can expect with the market, how the market can react. So keep an eye out for that on NFP. So that's what we have. With that, I'll also talk about, let's start also talking about the top 3 charts that I want to add stocks on. Obviously, we have been adding Tesla for quite a bit, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm adding Tesla as well, right? Like, let's go on to the weekly time frame. What happened here, right? Why did I add somewhere up here? Like we added our last stock at 276 on Friday, right? So we just retested this inverted head and shoulders, and this has to hold, is what in my opinion has to hold in with respect to Tesla, and it held, which is absolutely amazing. And even if it kind of dips, I think there's so much activity of buying that will happen here on Tesla at 270. And I think that is one of the main reasons why I added it there. My average is at around 317, and I do have quite a bit of shares. um so if it rips from here, we can easily get up to 330 this week, and 345 by next week. And we can probably have quite a bit of move on Tesla that can happen here. If it dips, I don't see much of a dip under 270 at all on Tesla. So that is why I feel safe. Like I don't feel like, oh, you know what, it's down so much and I'm down like 300 grand. Oh, what do I do, kind of thing. My thought process is it's fine if it's down 10%, 15, 20%. But in a year or two, I'll probably make like 150 to 200%, which is what I'm targeting, right? So keep an eye out for that on Tesla. I really think this is a very good zone to be that can be added here for Tesla. So that's my number one stock that I would love to add. And I think there's a lot of execution that Tesla has to do, which Elon Musk has also been talking about. And knowing him and knowing how much they have evolved over time, I mean, I wouldn't have trusted him if it were he was saying, you know what, this was in 2017, 2016. I didn't even trust him, where he was talking about Model 3 ramp up and things like that with the Gigafactory and things like that. And the when I invested in Tesla was 2018, right? So when I bought a Model 3 is when I invested in Tesla. But uh, now they actually have the data. They actually are backed by the data. They are actually have the they have proven people to actually create factories which can mass produce some of the products that they are talking about. That is what I'm believing in, and that is what I think is the pivotal factor for Tesla over any other company which says, oh, we are into humanoid, we are in doing this, we are doing that. I don't like it's like Apple car, right? How many years has Apple invested in that Apple car, and ultimately they had to pull the plug because like how good Tesla has been in that space. So it's hard to compete with proven technologies, and especially with manufacturing. It's a whole other beast that you have to deal with. But anyway, this is the zone that I'm really liking Tesla at. Some people are asking me, like, why did you add at 372? Why did you add at 350? 345? Why did you add at 320? Why did you add at 276? Well, guys, I don't know where the bottom is. Like, I'll be very frank with you. Like, I have never talked about or never said, oh, you know what? I know where the bottom is, or I know where the top is. I always talk in hindsight. If we catch the move in at the bottom, I would say, oh, you know what? We caught the bottom, which is great. Um, what I'm good at is trying to get at points which I think are strong supports, or get out at points which I think are strong resistances. I don't really catch the tops or the bottoms. It's mostly the middle chunk of the move that I'm more interested in, right? So um, look at around 360. Look at how it based around 360 and then ripped up, right? So when it dropped here, that is where I added it first. And then when it dropped again towards this area, towards 340 or something, look at the consolidation here again. So I added it here. Again, when it dropped here around 320-ish, look at the consolidation, and that's where I added it again, right? So right now, again, I added it here because of the weekly chart, and that was the bottomest of the bottom that I can think about on Tesla. So that was how I kind of separated out my ads, and that's how I kind of added it. But like, what if it just came up to 360 and bounced? Well, I know people who are like, oh, you can see 350, 250, 280. Yes, it is possible, but then it might not happen too, right? Like, I have missed so many opportunities like that. And when you're thinking about 3 to 5 to 10 year down the line, especially when you're thinking over a year, 10 to 15 points really doesn't matter, right? So that was my thought process, and that was why I was adding it too. And if you say, oh, you know what, you could have added it much lower, I could have added it much lower. Well, when I added it first time also, I was giving you downside targets where I would add more. I was never saying, oh, this is my full position and we'll just ride Tesla from here. I was always saying, okay, we'll add more as it goes down. And 270, I actually gave you 300, 270. This is where 280 is where I'll add more shares on Tesla, even when I was adding it at 340. So that's essentially how I kind of look at this. And yes, right now it's a ugly chart. I don't want to play calls or something like that, probably scalps and things like that. But uh adding shares, I think it's a no-brainer for me here on Tesla. So I right now I'm full capped on Tesla. I'm in with everything that I wanted to be in with. I'll just wait and sit it out and trade it, and like wait for like a nice bounce towards like 330 or something, and then start selling covered calls, get down by cost average, and like cost basis. And then I will try to hold it for more than a year, but if it hits 600 by the end of this year, I'll have to sell it then. I mean, I technically don't have to sell it, but then I'll sell it then, but and pay my cap gains. But we'll figure it out as things go. But I think 270 to 290 zone is a good area to go into Tesla to double your portfolio over like 2 to 3 years time span here on Tesla. So keep an eye out for that. The next one is Coin. This one is definitely on my radar, but like I think like I think I'm kind of capped on going after risky bets. I have some shitty stocks that I got into, which is TTD. I mean, it's not shitty, but then like I'm down on that, and I don't want to and that's one. And the other one that I also have is TNA. These are the two things that I have which are down, and I want to like not go after shitty stuff anymore. These are like my crazy risky stocks, and I think I'm down like around 55 grand on them, which is fine. I mean, like with respect to my long-term portfolio, it's not a big deal. But coin around 200 is a very good ad in my opinion. And this is where I would probably look into getting into coin, and like playing it to the upside, because like if Trump is going to say a Bitcoin strategic reserve and we'll have Bitcoin, see where Dude, I can't talk today. But see where BlackRock actually had all their Bitcoin reserves at, right? Like they bought Bitcoin and they are storing it in Coinbase. So I think USA will do the same thing. And Coinbase, great news, right? Like their earnings was amazing, I will say. And then their what we call it. Their SEC lawsuit was cleared off, and a lot of good stuff going on. And I think if USA also has the Bitcoin reserve, coin will be the biggest winner. And I will also bet on coin as a trade idea for the week. I know it'll gap up, but I'll have to see where it gaps up and things like that. So that's why I'm not giving you a trade idea for the week. But coin on this Bitcoin reserve whole fiasco, I think coin will definitely rally like 50 to 60 points on here. So keep an eye out for that on coin. And this is a good add on coin if you want to go long on shares. You can probably get a 50% or return this year, when it runs to 300 to 325 on coin here. So keep an eye out for that. The next and last but not the least is Google. Google is retesting that trend line here, which is very important to hold. And I also think Google is one of that stock which is very undervalued, with respect to how the whole Chat GPT fiasco kind of rolls over. Because like people can say Chat GPT is going to kill Google and things like that. I I don't think so, right? Like I have heard this so many times with respect to so many other big tech. When Netflix, when Netflix was booming and doing well, Amazon Prime Video came in, and then they said Netflix is going to die. And then the Fubo TV came in, and then they said Netflix is going to die. Then there was this other Chinese company that came in. it was either Billy or it was something else that came in. This was in 2018. They said, "Oh, Netflix is going to die." Every single time, like there's a competition or there's a new company that comes in, that they're just going to say Netflix is going to die. It's the same thing with Google. It's the same thing with any mega cap, I would say. I mean, if you all remember, this is a classic. I think most of you here in our group are Tesla investors, and we did very well with Tesla, right? Over the years. So I think most of you are Tesla fans. Do you all remember when Lucid was CCIV turned into Lucid, and they said Lucid was the Tesla killer? You all remember that, right? So it's the same thing, right? Like these all the small companies trying to chase after these big companies. It's just a validation that these bigger companies are doing so well that they just want a tiny fraction of it, and they think they can survive and do well too. So that's essentially what it is. And Google over the years, I think it'll definitely see 240 to 260 in the near future, and you can get a pretty good decent return on a stock like this, which Google to me is like an ETF, I would say, right? Like it's so huge, man. Like it's like an ETF. And you have cloud, you have ad tech, you have streaming, you have Waymo with its own self-driving tech. And then like the pioneers in AI. If you were in AI, like their TensorFlow framework, I think nobody here does anything outside TensorFlow, right? Obviously there's PyTorch from Meta, but like I'm just telling you, like if you are an AI engineer, you would know these terms. And like they're just so good, right? So it is it is kind of undervalued in my opinion, and a great ad here is Google, and it is one of your safest bets in my opinion too. So right now the I do have quite a bit of positions open. I have 185 as one of my recent buys. I do have 121 from a year back. I'll keep adding more on Google too, somewhere around here. I'll probably add some more into the end of this week at around 165 to 170. It's a great ad here on Google as well. So keep an eye out for that on Google. So these are my top three right now that I'll be looking out for. Well, I'll also give you one stock that I'll be looking to sell soon, which is LLY. Once it hits that 1,000 mark, it's not there yet, but one of the greatest stocks one of the best looking stocks into this week is LLY2. Once that 920 breaks, you can go up to 940 and 971, which is the all-time highs, which is coming. I strongly believe LLY is going to go there, and keep an eye out for that on LLY. Nice little peekaboo kind of setup, and like I was also talking about this double bottom situation when it was trading at around 850. If you all remember this one from a few weeks back, double to be reversal or double bottom reversal. Like this is where we caught that move, and then it came down, retested that level, and then zoomed right back up. Right now, it's breaking out of this upper trend line as well. Retested it on Friday, held it, closed at the highs at 920. So once this 920 breaks, we have 940 and 971. Above that is 1,000, and this is one of the stocks that I'm thinking of selling this year. And around 1,000 is where I'll sell it off. But this is 1,000 is my price target on LLY, and one of the very good stocks that is looking very good for a move this week on the market. Next, let's talk about SPY, QQQ, and IWM, and then I'll talk about our other companies as well. There are quite a few that people have asked, and we'll see. You all remember, so I'll have a separate video on how bear gaps and how to identify bear gap, how to draw bear gaps, how to draw bull gaps, and what is an island bottom and what is an island top kind of scenario. But this was that island bottom that got filled. This was the reason why I was also not looking for puts on Friday. We bounced right off it, and I did not expect this candle here on Friday, but it is what it is, right? Like we had some great move there. Let's draw some trend lines, see what's happening here. I do see a possibility of a trend line here from the new all-time highs. Oh my, this is looking good, right? Right? Yeah, this is looking good. All right, so that is a good looking trend line actually. I actually did not draw it, and I Okay, that's a good looking trend line. Let's see if I can get some more points here of this drawdown, but I'm not getting any intermediate drawdowns. I'm just joining 2 points, which is okay. This is not a valid trend line, but this is a very nice looking trend line. So yeah, let's see a close above this trend line in the first 2 hours tomorrow. On the first hour tomorrow, let's say, we can probably play it to the upside with our targets at 596, 600, 602. I think I think if we do see that trend break, if we do see that trend break, I think 605.50 is a very possible target here on SPY. I think 605.50 is a very possible target here on SPY. And I think, yeah, I think so. So keep an eye out for this upper trend line, looking very, very good. Anything to the downside, you want to see 590 break. Under 590 is 585, and 585.80 is possible if 590 kind of breaks. Actually, sorry, 580 is possible if 585 kind of breaks. Very slow methodological selling, right? Like this is a good type of selling. Again, they bounced it, went lower, bounced it again, went lower, bounced it again. So we are in that lower highs and lower lows kind of scenario, technically, right? Like we are in that lower highs and lower lows kind of scenario in the short term. We are definitely like not seeing that trend of uptrending market. It definitely is a lower highs and lower lows, but this is a nice valid trend line. And once that trend line breaks, I think there's a definite retest of 600. If 600 breaks, there's 605. So keep an eye out for those two levels there. Um, to the upside, anything to the downside, you would not need to see 590 break or 590 retest. I strongly believe 590 will hold this week, unless and until like we just hover around here. Like this is something that I'm expecting, right? Like this is like a little inverted head and shoulders that can form. A little bit of a break towards 600 and then comes right back down, retest this trend line that it broke, and then it creates this inverted head and shoulders to shoot right back up. And that at that point, the measured move will be 15 points. 15 points to the upside is 600 break is 615, which is new all-time highs. So I think that is the move that can develop here. I'm not saying, see, again, I'm hallucinating here. I'm trying to tell you, if this is something that you are seeing, you will have the conviction to size up, go aggressive, and you know what's happening in the market. If it's not happening like this, then you sit back, reassess, try to see what the market is trying to do, and then make another plan. Right? Respect the plan that you're making. You always have to say, um, the market is doing whatever it's doing, but this is my plan, so I'll just do this. That's not how you do it, right? So you see if the market is doing what we just talked about. That is a great play, because these inverted head and shoulders are basically reversal patterns, and coming off a downtrend like this, with if something like this happens, it is absolutely amazing. And March will be like really, really good. So keep an eye out for that kind of pattern here, and keep an eye out for that trend line, and look for what SPY is doing, and we'll play it to the upside. Next one is QQQ. Let's go back to the daily time frame here. Retested 497.50, bounced right off it. 497.50. It recaptured 500 back at 508. Right. Okay. Next one is 515. I don't have much thesis here. Next target here is 515 and 520 above. Has this time has to hold a 500. Otherwise, 497 will definitely break towards 492 and 485 next here on QQQ. So 500 has to hold here on QQQ, something that you have to remember. Anything to the upside, 515 and 520 are the next targets to the upside. 515 has a significant resistance here, but 520 is the next target above 515. So keep an eye out for that on QQQ. I don't have much thesis to share with you on QQQ. IWM 215 breaks is 219, 219 breaks is 224. 219 has been a little rough for for IWM. Uh, for IWM bull. So probably some put plays here at 219 is a good chance to play IWM towards the towards the downside. If 219 breaks, you can You can probably play some 220 calls or 222 calls going into next day, and play like a swing or something, and you can probably play some good, make some good money there. So keep an eye out for that on keep an eye out for that 219 level here on IWM. All right. With that, let's also talk about our core list of companies that we always trade. First one is Apple. Retested the bottom trend line here, held, went right back to 242. 242 breaks is 246. About 246 we are looking at 260 again, breaking that trend line. This trend line has to break, and then we'll look for some upside plays here on Apple. Right now 242 breaks, you can probably play some 245 calls, but if there's a breakdown of this lower trend line, you probably would be well off playing 230 puts as a swing trade here on Apple into the next day. So keep an eye out for that on Apple. Next one is AMD. This was a chart request, and this is something that I don't like. I have some shares that I'm holding at around 130-ish. I sold a lot of covered calls over time when there was some nice pops, like when it moved to 170-ish. Yeah, this move is when we sold some 200 calls. This move we sold some 170 calls. Like we still have, like, we own all the shares. um, right now it's not looking great. I mean, I don't like getting into stocks like AMD even on the downside, because I don't see something like Tesla where AMD is adding verticals, right? um, Tesla is another beast, right? Because they have a lot of verticals that they're adding. The first one, I can start talking about Tesla all night long, but like they have a humanoid, that which is one vertical. They have the alternative energy space with solar and things like that, which is another one that you can talk about. Like, then they have their car business. They have their self driving on top of their car business, which with robo taxi. They're adding verticals, but AMD, what do I have to justify that investment to buy it here, right? When during the the chip hype, great. But right now, not so much, right? Like, but I'll hold on to those shares. This the AMD and SMCI, which I've been holding for a year now. SMCI, I thought one of these would be a loss, and SMCI, I sold it for a profit. So I'm still able to hold AMD, and I'll hold AMD. And if I'm not able to get out of my investment by the end of this year, I'll probably, like, do some tax harvesting. But right now, I would not say go add AMD. I just don't like it. Something that you want to note there. Next one is Amazon. Not a nice bottom trend line though, but this upper trend line is still valid. Once that 216 kind of breaks, we have 219, which is 220, and then and then 224 here on Amazon. So keep an eye out for those two levels and this upper trend line. Anything to the downside, 200 is a definite add. I mean, it's a no-brainer add on Amazon. You can add stocks at 200 and 196 and 193. I would not add stocks under 193. Probably look for like something around 186 to 183 at that point. But overall, I think Amazon is still great. I think it'll go back to all-time highs at around 240-ish. If it goes down to 200, it's a gift to buy the shares there. So keep an eye out for that. Next one is AVGO. It has earnings this week, so I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play it per se, but 186.50 is something that I was expecting on AVGO. If you all remember on this breakdown, it came close, I would say. I mean, it didn't hit 190. It did not break 190 also, but if it did dip to 186, I would have bought the dip. Right now, like I said, put selling, call buying on AVGO, which is pretty great. I think once 200 kind of breaks tomorrow, I think there's a chance for 205 to 208 to happen here on AVGO before its earnings. Any pop towards 220, I think it would be sold off because of how it's retesting this particular trend line that it broke down off. Like how it broke down, went right back up, retested the trend line, got smashed right back down, right? The similar way is something that I'm expecting after its earnings as well. So keep an eye out for that on AVGO. Next one is Bitcoin. This upper trend line, God, look at that. Like, neat, clean touch there, and then if you look at lower time frames, it's kind of bull flagging there, right? Like it's bull flagging there at that 95,000 level. Once that thing breaks, it's 100, 106, and 112. The measured move here on Bitcoin is 130. So I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin. So I'm just giving you levels because some people like to trade Bitcoin. I mean, for trading, I use MSTR and Coin. For investing, I use Bitcoin. So I just buy and hold. I mean, I'm not selling Bitcoin at all. Next one is Caterpillar. Cat is retesting that trend line that it broke out of. I want to look for the weekly time frame too. This is an interesting chart. Let's see. Okay, that's interesting. There you go. That's interesting, right? Let's see if this lower trend line. This is way too much. But keep an eye out for this lower trend line here. If this kind of breaks at 335, there's much lower move towards 300 to 295 here on cat. But I don't think it'll break. Going back to the daily, once 245 breaks, I would probably play some. Sorry, 345 breaks. I'll probably play some 350 calls here on cat, towards a move, no, for a move towards 353. So keep an eye out for that on cat. Looking pretty okay on the chart as well. It's just retesting that trend line that longer term trend line that it broke out here. So keep an eye out for that. Next one is Coin. Coin, I think will open at 226, have a little bit of a dip, and then move towards 240 this week. 240 call or 250 call is something that I'll be looking out for on Coin. One of the biggest winners here. Once that strategic reserve is also announced, I think it will be Coin. So I just wanted to draw some trend lines, see what's happening here. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a little iffy here. It's not a very valid trend line, but I just wanted to, like, draw some trend lines, see what's happening here. If you look at the longer term picture here, I think it broke down. So and this breakdown can be looked at as a bear flag kind of scenario. So yeah, 130 to 132, sorry, 230 to 232 is going to act as resistance. So coin, if it opens there, just be a little bit careful. Just be a little bit more careful. If it opens at around 230 to 235, be a little bit careful. Just look at this bottom trend line, draw this bottom trend line, and be careful if it's opening there. If it's opening somewhere around 140, you can probably take a retest of this trend line and play to the upside. But if it's opening somewhere here, be a little bit more careful to trade it, to chase the run. So that's mostly about coin. Next one, I wanted to talk about Disney, actually CVX and then Disney. CVX, looking very good here. Nice chart, right? Like, let's wait for that peekaboo kind of setup. Once that breaks to the upside, you can probably play some 160 calls here on CVX. So keep an eye out for that. I think if I have a trade idea for the week, CVX would be a trade idea for the week with this upper trend line break towards 160 call to play. Um, yeah, so keep an eye out for that on CVX. I think 160 call is something that you can look out for on CVX. Keep an eye out for that. Next one is Disney. This is a very strong name. I think Disney is another one that you can look for as a safe play. Uh, I wouldn't say safe play, but keep an eye out for that on Disney. I think Disney can move all the way up to 160 by next year. They can execute to do that. Right now, 114 breaks, 115 or 116 calls, or you can also take a spread for 115 to 118 on for this week or next week on Disney. So once 114 breaks, I think there's a nice move towards the upside here on Disney. So keep an eye out for that. Next one is let's go Meta. Meta. Okay, 644 held twice. Like, looks like a double bottom kind of scenario. It's not a double bottom yet, unless and until, like, if you take only this kind of portion, 682 should break. Keep an eye out for this 682 level here. Once 682 breaks, it's back to 700. Uh, um, yeah, yeah, it's back to 700. a lot of call flow on Meta, I would say, into April. So that's something that you can look out for here on Meta as well. Next one, Microsoft. I'm seeing debit spreads again. We played spreads on Microsoft a few weeks back. We made like 13 grand, which is great. I think there's another spread that you can pick up here, which is 105 110 call. Or 105 115 call here on Microsoft. If it breaks above 400, there'll be a little bit of a move here towards 410 to 420. I still have some make calls for Microsoft in my Roth account, but other than that, don't have much position here. But 400 needs to break here on Microsoft to play the 405 410 call spread, or 405 415 call spread. Keep an eye out for that on Microsoft. Next one is MSTR. Let's see if this one has a nice clean trend line. Uh, oh wow, this actually hit the all-time highs exactly to the point. So that's probably a fib, right? So Hmm. Yeah, MSTR's like chart looks much better than coins, I would say. Much better than coin. Yeah. If 300 breaks, it's absolutely going to rip. 300 breaks, it's going to rip. Probably will open somewhere around 300. Yeah. Watch for this upper trend line here on MSTR. If that 300 breaks, it is going to 350, 322, 350, 385. So yeah, 300 break is what you're looking for on MSTR. So keep an eye out for that on MSTR. Before I forget, app. This is a chart request again. I think app. Once this 350 349 level breaks, it'll ravage towards 400. It'll have a big move towards 400. So keep an eye out for that 350 level there, and there's that big move towards 400 brewing on app. One of the reasons that Fluid was telling me was she thinks S&P inclusion for app is around the corner this week, and that's why she played the March calls. I think it's also up because of some kind of a buyback news that app has announced, and they are up about 3-4%. I mean, if those calls get to 100%, probably sell half and play half for S&P inclusion. So keep an eye out for that on app as well. Anything else that snow something that I wanted. Okay, snow 178. That's where it is. So tomorrow, if it breaks 178, 185 calls is something that you can look out for on snow. They had their earnings was very good. The other one is they had a partnership with OpenAI, Stargate, and that's a great investment as well with their partnership with Microsoft. So 178 break, 185 call is something that you can look out for on snow. I think Snow is one of those stocks that will go back over 200 soon. So keep an eye out for that on Snow as well. So 178 break is 185 and 193. 185 calls is something that you can play above 178 here on Snow. Also a proxy play for MDB. So keep an eye out for that. That's all. Oh, actually, I had Nvidia also. Sorry. Okay. Last but not the least, I have Nvidia. Nvidia hit that longer term trend line here. This is a very nice look. Held the level. Next, once it breaks 180, 128, it goes directly to 135. Still in a broad consolidation kind of phase. I think because of the macro sensitive issues that are going around with chips. Once this rare earths deal goes through, I think Nvidia, Tesla are one of the biggest winners if that goes through, and TSM is another one that can really win. So keep an eye out for that on Nvidia. That lower trend line, if that lower trend line breaks after AVGO earnings, I would be a little bit more cautious. But Still strong, a very strong looking chart, and still in consolidation. Their earnings was great. They're beating top line, bottom line, and double beats and the EPS and the revenue. They're guiding well, and I don't see any reason why Nvidia is being compared to Cisco of 2000 or 2008 or whatever that is. I mean, it's just absurd, right? But Nvidia is going to be the winner in this AI race, and there's so much more that AI is going towards, and we are just barely scratching the surface, in my opinion. I mean, who am I? I was just a data AI engineer, so right, so. It's we are barely scratching the surface. I would definitely say that, but it's a great stock to own, somewhere around the 115 to 118 mark, and any move towards 135 is great this week. And then I'll look for that upper trend line break at that point. With that, I think that's all I have for today. And if you have any other questions, do let me know. I will be available on chat, and we can talk more. But otherwise, I'll see you guys with our pre-market notes on tomorrow morning, and let's kill it next week too.